Is it possible to create infinite loops in Fortnite Creative? The easy answer is yes, but the more complicated answer is what we're currently creating is a bunch of fake loops. They look like loops, they act like loops, but they do not actually loop. They are just a bunch of props which we want to move from one side to the other, and we just put it into a straight line which reaches over 400 meters because that is the maximum the prop mover can actually move. And that is not really a loop, and it can never go for infinity. But this, on the other hand, is an actual loop. The ball is actually looping. There's not 400 balls on the other side. And it could loop for infinity. Same with this character device. The character device looks like it's coming out of a fresh factory. And same with the floors. Look how flawless the floor is, and it's never about that. You can see on the official Fortnite Trello, which reports all the bugs that are currently listed, you can see a very large list for the prop mover. And there's a lot of options which we need to create a loop that are currently bugged or not working properly. Well, while these bugs are pretty unfortunate, you can still create them in Fortnite Creative right now. And as soon as these bugs are fixed, you can go in and have your perfect loops already enabled and starting fresh. So let's jump right into it and see how easy it is to create loops in Fortnite Creative. Well, we're gonna start with the simplest loop that you can create, and that's a single prop looping over and over again. And this is what it looks like behind the scenes. We can see that the magic is happening in these non-visible areas where the ball is basically repeating itself over and over again. And you can see that basically all you need for this is just a single prop mover and a trigger device optionally. So the most important thing to make this happen flawlessly is having a set range. We can see that we have the range or the distance of 10 meters here. 10 meters is exactly 2 tiles. This ball is moving over here all the way through here and then disappears in this area over here. Which is great because then we can use the setting when movement finishes. That means as soon as the ball moves over there, we can send a signal to the ball again. Now we can use this command to send a signal to our own ball, which we have the setting reset when receiving from, which means when the ball is over there, it resets to its original place. We can use that on the same channel, which is insanely cool. And the last thing that we have to do is obviously make it move again. For that we can use the advanced when receiving from option. And all you have to do for that is set up a trigger device which has the options triggered when receiving from, which is the same setting as reset when receiving from and when movement finishes, and putting the when triggered transmit on to the same channel as the advanced option. Which means the signal first gets sent to the trigger device and then back to the prop mover, which allows us to have a little delay between the resetting and advancing and gives us always the option that advancing gets picked last, which then will allow us to have a flawless transition between resetting and advancing. So let's just say you want to add a second ball into it, which seems like not a problem until you realize that there will always be a little bit of a gap in between those two. Well, this is where this technique doesn't really work anymore. Where a very simplified meters technique worked pretty well until it seems to be a little bit of a problem. The reason for that is not only because there's such limited amounts of distances that you can put into this device, it is also that to make the timings right is really hard to do. But thankfully there's an easy option to fix this and how to make multiple props move and loop at the same time. And the solution to this problem is the sequencer. The basic principle behind this is that the sequencers are now saying where the prop mover has to go instead of the prop mover moving by themselves and resetting by themselves. In our example, you can see that every ball has their own sequencer, and the sequencer is saying when to reset and when to start moving. So for example, the first red ball over here gets reset at this point, while at the other hand, the green ball gets reset at that point. The sequencer is the best solution to create loops, since this device can already loop by itself, which we don't really need here, but you can also adjust the tempo, which is really helpful if you work with tempo, and you can adjust where these prop movers are going and where they have to reset. And if you want to recreate that yourself, the only options that you now need are just the reset and advance option. Obviously the reset option is going to be at wherever you want the ball to reset, most likely in an area where nobody can see the reset, and the advanced option should obviously be at the start. Just put the right numbers in the trigger devices, put the trigger devices inside of the imitator zone, and you're good to go. Now make sure that you have the correct tempo, which is beats per minute for the sequencer, and if you go into the speed, you have meters per second. So for example, I have 2 and 22. That is probably not the correct answer, but it works out for me, and it is almost the same speed. You might have to adjust yours depending on which speed you're going to use. Or if you have some crazy math, which I don't know because I'm terrible at math, you can also use that. And you want to do the exact same things with the other prop that you also want to move along with your first prop, and you're going to just adjust it there. Now we come to the part where I would say yes, but I would also say not really at the same time, because the time that you have to spend to make this work and then it maybe breaks because of some bug is just not worth it. If you want to use anything that is connected together, or like kind of larger props, which kind of like a converter bell where it's just moving and then we have it repeating over and over again. And I use the same technique which I used on the balls here. The problem now is that the prop movers really have their own mind. You can see that for the first few meters, this looks perfectly fine. And the second it starts resetting, for whatever reason, they start offsetting each other and start doing some really weird stuff, which they shouldn't be doing. If you really want to have it, it is somewhat possible. It takes a lot of time, it will take a lot of sequences and a lot of perfect timing, and you will still have some bugs which offset the things here. I would not recommend trying this. Stick to the simple ones, stick to the ones that look cool. It is just too much work for too little result, and yeah. Thank you guys for watching this video. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. Hopefully you learned something, and I will see you guys back in the next one. Bye.